Hey guys, my name is Josh. I'd like to share my testimony of how I came to Christianity and how I came to Christ. To give a bit of a background about myself, I was born in an atheist family, grew up as an atheist. I never heard of the gospel, never heard of Jesus until I was at university where I got saved. So that's a good 18 years of my life. So that's the background of me. So I used to be in a lot of drugs. I used to do a lot of drugs every weekend, and this carried on to university. And at university, I took too much of one drug, and this was on a night out. And then I went home, and then as I got home, all of this one drug came up at once, and it felt like I was overdosing. I felt like I was dying. My whole world was slowing down, just in slow motion, and I was getting told things in my head, and I got told that I am God, I am Jesus, I created the world, and once I got told these things, I started to get shown the deepest, darkest things that I've done in my life, that I haven't even told my mum about, and after I got shown these horrible things that I've done throughout my life, I heard a voice that said, "You are forgiven." And after this voice said, "You are forgiven," a bright light in the corner of my mind or in the corner of the room just started getting brighter and brighter, like it was coming towards me. And and then it was brighter than the sun. It was like so bright. And then I ran out of my room because I was so scared, and I was banging on my friends' doors, saying, "Open the door, I'm dying." And they all came out and chilled me out a little bit. But I was shaking for at least 2 hours after this. But as I said, I'm an atheist, didn't think anything of this experience. And 2 weeks later, I bumped into Christians in the street, and these Christians said to me that they've come over from abroad to preach the gospel and tell people about God and invite them to church. And I denied them and turned them away because, like I said, I was an atheist. And then 2 weeks later, I bumped into the same Christians in the street again. And then they told me the story again and invited to church. And again, I denied them, and I was like, no, go away. And after this, around December time, just before I broke up for Christmas, I was in the studios. I study architecture, and we study in studios. And there was one other person in the studio, and I went up to him and I said, "Do you believe in God?" I don't know why I said that, I just said it. And he started freaking out. I've never seen someone so shocked in my life. And he then went on to say that he's a Christian, and then he started to preach the gospel to me and tell me about Jesus. And I remember after he finished preaching about Jesus, he told me why he was so shocked, and he said that he prayed 3 days previously to tell someone about God. So basically I was his prayer. And after this, I went home for Christmas, and then I came back up in January 2017, and I went to church and I accepted Christ into my life. And I've split this story into 2 parts, so that was the first part. I'll now move on to the second part. And before I do move into the second part, I want to say that the voices that I was hearing in my head, I believe to this day, thinking back on it, that was God telling me about himself when I was an atheist, when I did not know him. He was telling me he's still there with me. So yeah, the second part of the story goes like this. So moving on to the second part of the story, a week after I had that near-death experience, I smoked some weed, and after I smoked this weed, I had a panic attack, and then I started seeing things behind my vision. I started seeing energy behind my vision. It's as if something was there behind my vision. And I started seeing colours around people, and I told my friend about this, and she basically said, "Have you researched about the third eye?" And I said, "No," and then I started to research about the third eye, and everything that it described is what I felt. And I started then seeing dark figures out on the end of my bed when I was sleeping. I started getting sleep paralysis every night. I started lucid dreaming, which is where you can control your dreams. I started astral projecting without even realising. Astral projection is where you're travelling into the spiritual realm, and I didn't even believe in the spiritual realm there because I was an atheist. And after this all got progressively worse. And when I accepted Christ into my life, it intensified, and it got to the point where I was scared to go to sleep. And I remember seven months after I was saved, roughly around the area, I remember a sermon being preached by Brother Wellington about a boy, and he told us a story about a boy that lost his mind from cannabis, and this boy described it as looking into an impenetrable screen. Is what he felt, and that's exactly how I felt, seeing the energy and everything. So I related to this story, like it's as if me and God were in that room and there was no one else in that room, and it was God speaking to me. And after this, after the sermon, I went up to people in church and I said, this is what I've been feeling, it's exactly the same as this story. And all the church members, they gathered around me and they prayed for me. And ever since that day, I've never had sleep paralysis, I've never had lucid dreaming, or I've never astral projected since that day, praise God. And this video is mainly for atheists out there that, like, I want you to know, like, I understand how it is to be an atheist. I understand how you are now. I understand it's hard to believe in a God. It's hard to realise that there is a God. And I just want to let you know that Jesus is there with you. You might be depressed now, you might have anxiety, you might have all these different problems right now, and Jesus is still there with you. He's just waiting for you to call upon his name. And like I promise you, when you call upon his name, he will give you a sign. He will show you that he's there with you. And I thank you all for watching this video. Please feel free to send any comments in or ask me anything that you want. I'd like to thank God for all that he's done in my life, because now I don't do the drugs, now I don't get the astral projection, now I'm a totally changed man. I've never felt this good in my life. So yeah, I want to thank God mainly. Praise God. God is waiting for you to call upon his name. Jesus is waiting for you to call upon his name. So do the right thing. He's there. Even if you don't believe it, even just try it, and I promise you he'll answer you. Goodbye and God bless.
Yeah.